A pretty good night for you last night. You must be feeling pretty happy today.
Yeah, I think we did real well. It was essentially three-way that came in first and gave us a chance to just have some momentum to go on. So I'm looking forward to New Hampshire. And, you know, we did real well in certain groups, and people dissect this out all the time. And I think most people knew that I would do real well with the people, you know, under 30, and I did extremely well there. I did real well with the independent groups, too. And that means that the interest in what I'm talking about is very broad-based. A lot of Republicans, independents, and even Democrats that come out to our rallies. So therefore, I think we're presenting a program that should be appealing to all Americans.
I mean, what was really fascinating, because I was down at the CNN HQ in Atlanta watching the dramatic scenes unfurl right through the night. And it was clear that one thing was constant, which is that you, and I say this with great respect, the oldest candidate by some margin, was attracting the largest amount of young action on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and so on. You have got this extraordinary appeal to the youth. What do you put that down to?
I don't know. I'm very pleased with it. I keep trying to figure it out. I ask a lot of questions to young people, and they give me different answers. They're always very complimentary. Sometimes it's just that it sounds like you're the only one telling us the truth. It sounds like you will obey the Constitution and you'll vote by yourself if you have to. And they talk about foreign policy. I think young people are just not anxious to be sent off to war, and they have become fascinated with my interest in monetary policy, and there's a financial crisis going on. So they're actually studying, you know, the Federal Reserve and monetary policy. So they give us all these interests. But I think overall it's my emphasis on liberty per se, just liberty, having freedom to run your life as you so choose, as well as spend your money as you so choose. And that is a very powerful message and very attractive to young people.
I mean, I use Twitter a lot. And what is interesting to me is every time I mention your name or we cover you in the show, whatever it may be, I get an avalanche of reaction, very, very angry, from people that feel that you don't get a fair crack of the whip from the media generally, and that you're not taken seriously enough as a candidate. And there's no doubt there is some truth to that. For whatever reason, you quietly do your thing and you do it well, and yet it suits people to portray you as a kind of cranky old guy in the race, when actually the figures would suggest you should be taken more seriously.
Yeah, and you know, I see that word cranky. My supporters don't call me cranky. My friends don't call me that, but I think the media uses it a whole lot. And, you know, I do hear that some of our people overreact, but I tell you what, they do the opposite thing. You know, just take the singer that endorsed me. They went and bought her albums, you know, Kelly Clarkson, I believe, and they bought albums, and they were, you know, very happy. So if you say something nice about me tonight, I'll bet you'll get a lot of good emails. I mean, they are very discretionary, and they really compliment people. But if they feel like I'm not getting a fair shake, and I think you even said that possibly that's the case, we come up short, they will even overreact. And I caution against that, because that's not the way to win friends and influence people. But they are very very supportive, and they want to defend me, you know, when people sort of attack me.
Do you think, Congressman, that in New Hampshire, Mitt Romney is almost certain to win in New Hampshire? Do you believe the real battleground will move on to South Carolina, to Florida?
You know, I think the odds makers would probably bet that, but I think Santorum showed that you can change things rather quickly right at the end, and maybe people haven't, the undecideds haven't decided to do anything yet in New Hampshire, and maybe there will be a switch. Actually, in New Hampshire, you know, you can get Republicans, Independents, and Democrats coming over, and no, I'm sorry, I don't think you can have the Democrats. But the independent vote, there's more independents than others that can come in there. So there are some unknowns, but I think the odds maker would say that he does. It's his home state. He lives there. But that doesn't mean that the rest of us give up. I think all of us will continue to campaign very hard there.
And when you look at your contenders here, are you surprised that, say, Rick Perry is staying in the race, given how he's underperformed?
Well, I haven't concentrated on what he should do or being surprised or not. But I am surprised that he wasn't able to sustain, his burst onto the scene where he was riding high in the polls. Back then I would have guessed that he would have been neck and neck with Mitt Romney. So I was surprised that he didn't stay up there, but I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, whether he sticks in or not. But he must be calculating that, South Carolina is his place to take a stand, because I don't think he's doing a whole lot, and I don't think his numbers are that good up in New Hampshire. But I have trouble keeping up with my own campaign, let alone what exactly their strategy is.
Let's just turn to the two direct competitors who performed well with you last night, to Mitt Romney and to Rick Santorum. Rick Santorum played a pretty clever game. He just put all his eggs in Iowa. He went to 370-odd rallies in 99 counties. An amazing feat of endurance, if nothing else. I think he's earned his right to have his day in the sun. But as more scrutiny comes on him now, do you think he'll be able to withstand the inevitable media attention that he will now get for what many would say are policies which, in some cases, go to the more extreme right?
Well, my criticism isn't that he's an extreme conservative. I think he spends way too much money. When he had the opportunity to double the size of the Department of Education, he did. When he expanded medical care with prescription drug programs, and when he votes for foreign aid, he votes for all these things. And his support of people like Arlen Specter, he doesn't come across as a conservative. I think that will get out. And, he sort of popped up in the polls there at the last minute. But he didn't have an organization. If you look at a picture of his rallies, they were very, very sparsely attended. So it was a mechanism where a group of people came together and said, oh, he's our candidate. We didn't rally around the others, so we're going to rally around him at the last minute. But I don't think I don't think he can go anywhere. He doesn't have an organization. He doesn't have the money. So I would be surprised if he does very much in New Hampshire.
How did you react when he called you disgusting?
I'm sorry, I missed that. What?
How did you feel when Rick Santorum implied that you were disgusting?
Oh, he called me disgusting. Well, I didn't hear him saying that. Maybe if I did, or in a debate, I could have had a spontaneous reaction. But those kind of terms, I think they lack in vocabulary. It's not very creative. I think he could have found a maybe more dignified term. Maybe he could have said he disagrees with me or something. But I just don't see the purpose of that. But I haven't, thought that through. I haven't talked to him about that, and I didn't hear him say that.
I mean, clearly the gloves are coming off, I think, in terms of personal attacks. You've seen it from Mitt Romney through these packs towards Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich looks to me like somebody who's about to erupt back at Mitt Romney. You see Santorum whacking you, and you're whacking a few people. Is it time that this election gets real and inevitably gets ugly?
Yeah, and it's probably the part of politics I never liked. And over the years, I have participated in using what people say are negative ads. But, if you point out what I just said about Santorum, I don't consider that being negative. I tell people that he votes for foreign aid, and that he supported No Child Left Behind. But, no, that's the part that is more difficult for me, because I've been much more interested in changing the dialogue. I mean, my campaign and my platform is so much different. I'm talking about a change in foreign policy. I want to address the Federal Reserve. I want to cut spending. Nobody, whether it's Santorum or Gingrich or Romney, none of them really want to cut spending. They talk about the whole establishment, Democrat and Republican. They talk about cutting, but they're only talking about cutting proposed increases, and I want actual cuts. So those are the kind of policies that sometimes I find rather disgusting, that they won't deal with the issues, and I think that is so important, and yet I have tried to bring this up, but I don't think they address it in a serious manner. I deal a lot in protecting civil liberties and privacy, and talking about the Patriot Act, and I get good response for that. In the National Defense Authorization Act, this idea that the military can arrest an American citizen and held indefinitely without a lawyer, and nobody wants to talk about it. I mean, none of the other candidates even bring that up. So that is why our campaign is quite different.
Let me take a short break, Congressman. Come back and talk about your electability, because a lot of people say they like Ron Paul, they love your energy, they love the passion, the dynamism, but very few people actually believe you could become president. I'm sure that you do, and I want you to explain to me after the break why.
The establishment called him extreme and unelectable. They said he was the wrong man for the job. It's why a young Texan named Ron Paul was one of only 4 congressmen to endorse Ronald Reagan's campaign for president, believing in Reagan's message of smaller government and lower taxes.
That's a Ron Paul political ad, and the candidate himself is back with me now. I mean, the Reagan factor is very alive and kicking here, because it's quite clear a lot of Conservatives are looking for a Reagan-esque figure, and in many ways you could be that person. But I come back again, Ron Paul, to, I guess, what your problem is in terms of perception, is that your enemies out there always position you as slightly crazy. And therefore not presidential, not somebody that could actually win against, say, Barack Obama. How do you deal with that? Now it's getting serious, and you see the poll numbers. You know, maybe you hoped to win in Iowa, you didn't. You're coming second, perhaps, in New Hampshire, but you won't win there. How do you change perception to make people believe you could seriously be president?
Well, you know, I get a charge out of this when they say that these views are extreme and that I wouldn't be elected. Well, I've been elected 12 times in my district. And age is a relative factor, you know, and besides, you're not allowed to discriminate against age. So if I have young ideas, I'm in good health, and appealing to young people, that's pretty much proof. But you know what really counts are the issues and what you believe in. And freedom is a young idea. Historically, it hasn't been around all that long. We've had a great test, you know, in our country, and we're losing this. But most people have lived under tyranny, and that is the main thing. Young people and people much younger than I am are accepting way too much government, whether it's militarism, whether it's violation of our civil liberties, or whether it's regulating and socializing our economy and special interest protection by the Federal Reserve. I mean, these things are old ideas, and this is why I think I'm very much electable. But it's also strange that they say that these views, you know, are real strange. But I defend the Constitution. Why should balancing the budget and defending the Constitution and doing the things I talk about all of a sudden say, oh, you can't be elected with those views? But they're saying, oh, we hate the Constitution. We hate personal liberty. We hate privacy. We hate the Fourth Amendment. We think we should be the policemen of the world. That's what they're saying when they're saying I'm unelectable. But they ought to deal with the issues itself, because the views that I hold and the strict adherence to the Constitution and my voting record, they know that I would stick to those views, and I think that's what they're frightened about, because they've gotten used to the status quo, and the status quo is big government.
I've got your old friend John Huntsman coming on in a moment, and you gave him a good old jab on Twitter last night and then deleted it and have discounted any responsibility. What would you like to say to John Huntsman? Do you want to apologise for telling him that you found his one Iowa voter? Well,
you know, that was done, you know, through staff. It was supposed to be good humor, and I mean, I just didn't think that was a big deal. I can't imagine anybody making that. But he was the one, I think, sent the first Twitter. And I was in the midst of a rally or a speech when that stuff was going on. So I think that was rather quickly gone through, and I think it was supposed to be something, you know, a little high-spirited and a little bit funny, but it turned out to be a national incident about this Twitter. But well, I think, yeah, I think the stat.
We'll get his reaction in a moment, because he's listening to this. But I suppose what I would say to you, Congressman, is that there seems to be a bit of
I thought he was a nice guy. He and I get along real well, and I thought he had some reasonable ideas. But I can't imagine him attacking me, you know. And so,
well, I'm hoping you will in a moment. I mean, that's what he's on for. So hopefully he will. But I think what I would just urge a bit of caution with all these things, Congressman. There seems to be a pattern emerging of you being completely unaware of what your staff are doing under your name half the time.
Well, not half the time, you know. I would hardly say that, but, you know, a press person does a lot for all of us. And if somebody is going to try to tell you that their press person never did a thing in your name, they're not telling you the straight story. Press people tend to do that, and they went over the top. And it was just a little thing, and they were trying to be funny. And I told them afterwards that after I got stuck with that, I said, you know, that isn't very funny to have me get caught on national television and not know what's going on, but it was meant to be in good humor. And when I looked at it,
well,
I
thought
it was
we will see
humor. But I thought it was, okay, go ahead.
Well, we're going to see if John Huntsman found it funny or not right now. Congressman, as always, thank you very much.